Hi, my name is Jonathan Banks, and I play Mike in the Netflix film El Camino. We're going to give you a little oral history about the film. And during this oral history, you'll hear from about 50 different people, actors, crew members, producers, speak throughout this. And here we are. And this is a scene that I'm in. I'm not that guy. I will be soon the other guy. Now, let me give you a brief history. It was so cold that Aaron and I could not stop shaking in this scene. Literally, it was, I don't know, 6:30, 6 in the morning, somewhere in there. Because I've discovered that anytime I work with Vince Gilligan absolutely makes me miserable. He either is freezing me or he has me in a desert at 110 and 114 degrees. If you look closely, I don't know, you might be able to see me shaking there. Anyway, another side note, I had just flown in. I just lost my house in the Malibu fires, and this is the first thing I'd done since then. And it was so good to be back. And it was a balm and a salve to be able to go back to work and be with Aaron. He's a rotten kid, but I love him anyway. So there you go. There it is. Have a good time, folks.
Alaska. It's the last frontier.
Greetings. My name is Dennis Milliken. I'm the transportation coordinator on El Camino. In this scene, you see us at the Rio Grande River, and in the background, you see two cars. The Mike car, which is the Chrysler, was the car from Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. The Jesse Tercel, however, had to be recreated because Sony had auctioned off most of the cars that was used on Breaking Bad. The Tercel was one of the things that got sold off, so we had to recreate that. The guys did a great job of putting that together to match the Breaking Bad car. Now you see Jesse screaming at his release from the compound, and that's poor man's process, which is a thing that we do on stage in a controlled environment. We used a buck rig for that, which I'll describe and discuss a little bit later. These police lights that are coming up at you are supposed to also mimic what happened at the end of Breaking Bad. Vince's concern was that the light bars be the same so that anybody watching the two wouldn't know that they were different cars because you couldn't get the same cars back. The El Camino was also sold off at the end of Breaking Bad, so we had to recreate that totally. And we had a hero car, a double car, and the buck rig that I mentioned earlier. And here you see Jesse knocking over the mailbox, which he was supposed to do.
Hi guys, it's Lori McCoy-Bell here, the department head hairstylist on El Camino. And I have to say what an honor it was to work with so many talented people. Vince and the actors were amazing. We have Skinny Pete here and Badger, which were a hoot and a half. We did have to match their hair. We gave Badger, a trim. He was kind of the same. We did add a little bit of wefts and stuff to Skinny Pete. You could see it sticking out of his hat a little bit, but we needed to get an exact match. We needed to believe that this was happening 2 years ago, basically, in storyline. They were great to work with. Really a family type atmosphere, It was nice to be part of that family. Looks like somebody's sneaking in that window there. Oh, look at that. It's Jesse. And Jesse was, again, one of the exact matches that we needed to do. This is directly after he escaped in the season finale. He ran to his buddy's house for protection or for help. So we had a wig on him. We've had several wigs in this film. We have about 7 wigs working on him alone. But this would be the longest version that we have of him. It's probably 5 inches long in total. And we took care of that hair by not taking care of it, actually. We ratted it up. We teased it. We put oil on it. We put gel on it. We tried to make it piecey. And we actually laid the bangs in the exact same spot as we saw him leaving the compound after the shootout. We even had to shower with this wig, which is a tough one. Wigs aren't meant to get wet in the scene. It's a bit of a challenge. Some of the wigs that we had for different lengths during this show, we didn't have to use so much grease or gel. It was more a clean version. We had 7 wigs, so we had one that was about 1/4 of an inch long and up to 5 inches long. So all the stages in between that. The stage where he wore his shortest wig was the scene that he had with Jane out in the desert in the car. And kind of a difficult, tricky wig to do when you get it that short, not to see any of the underlying issues of the base of the wig. And Jane was great. We put a bang piece on her. She didn't have bangs anymore, but it was challenging and it was fun. We had a great time.
Hello, it's Christian Diaz de Bedoya, location manager for El Camino, a Breaking Bad movie. We're looking at some beautiful time lapses we shot on the show from 9 Mile Hill in West Albuquerque, the current state of Saul Goodman's office, and the iconic Pollos Hermanos Twisters. And we're now looking at a shot that we had to do in pre-production in front of the federal courthouse downtown so that we could have that scene available for our 2 actors here, Skinny Pete and Badger, to watch the footage to help them with their performance and just to have real content on the screen while we were filming this scene. And now we're in Skinny Pete's house, which was a new location for us in the Breaking Bad world, where we find our 2 iconic characters here. And one thing about this location was this house was actually a lot nicer and cuter when we discovered it, and we had to bring it down quite a bit. Our department and production design team had to scruff it up more than it was in actuality. So this also carries us into the 1-bedroom set that complemented our location, which was actually shot on stage, where we're seeing Jesse wake up from a long sleep and staring up through the grates of the old Nazi compound where he was prisoner for so long, which was actually another set we had to build for the movie because the original location had gotten leveled many years ago once we wrapped Breaking Bad. But this house, Skinny Pete's house, took a couple of weeks to find, and Vince definitely picked the right one. The way it laid out in the movie gave us a lot of vantage points and very creative ideas of how to shoot it with everything going on in and outside the house.
I'm Louise Frogley. I'm the costume designer. This is Donna.
Hi, I'm Donna Casey, costume supervisor. We had a great time working together on this project.
I know. I love all of the series, so it was a great honor to be able to do it and meet everyone and research the clothes and try and recreate them, because mostly they didn't exist anymore. So we had to recreate, and every little last detail, like
starting from scratch.
To try and to do it from continuity notes and to do it from footage.
Right, I remember you wanted to make sure the knit on Skinny Pete's hat matched exactly.
He very kindly pointed out that it didn't, so we did, so we just did it again, and then we had to recreate the eagle on the front. And the point is, it all looks incredibly ordinary and crummy, but in order to get to that, there's so many stages: researching, buying the fabric, finding the person to cut and fit it, and
give it that lived-in look.
The age of Diaz. Yeah. So you end up with a totally boring, ordinary garment, which has, it might just as well be by Dior or somewhere, someone by the time you spent all the money on it making it.
But we beat it to death with lots of washing and aging
true. Yeah.
and dying just to give it the aged, lived-in look.
Hi, this is Sherry Montesano. I was the head of makeup and makeup effects on El Camino. This ended up being one of the most challenging and fun jobs of my entire career. What I thought was going to be just a continuation of Breaking Bad ended up being just an array of the most fun makeups I've done. I had to hand lay a beard on Aaron Paul, who plays Jesse Pinkman. This had to withstand a fire hydrant being blasted in his face and a shower. Not only did we do that, we had to do all these prosthetics to show his journey through what happened at the end of Breaking Bad. We hand drew his tattoo. We had to keep resetting all of the dirt for take after take. Not only that, he was in a hot shower for many, many hours. It's kind of the way we get the prosthetics off. It was a nail biter. The fun thing about this show, though, is Aaron was up for this. He was up for me touching up that beard constantly. We had to be very careful in patting him dry because we didn't want to rub anything off. But one of the best things about this whole thing is we got to be able to create what Jesse Pinkman looked like after his journey at the end of Breaking Bad. The scars that I created for him were to show the pain and suffering he went through, but also we didn't want him to look monstrous. He's our leading man. He had to look heroic, which he was. And just look at how Aaron Paul, playing Jesse Pinkman, looks in this. Awesome.
I gotta get out of here.
Hi guys, this is Mark Hansen, the prop master from El Camino. The phone book that Jesse is opening up, that looks like a nice simple shot, but I'll tell you what, that was by far one of the most complicated things to do. Phone books don't exist anymore. During Breaking Bad, it was a little easier because they were still around. They sort of have fallen off the face of the earth as far as I can tell. But I was able to locate 4 phone books from Albuquerque from that time period. All the pages are created because you have to clear the phone numbers, the names of the companies, the addresses. So those are all the pages are absolutely put together by us. Alan Chow, our graphics guru, was very instrumental in making all that happen as well. He actually tears a phone book page out, and that's a huge deal because when you tear a page, that's one take. So to be able to reinsert an untorn page becomes a huge process. But that's doing props. That's how you do it. You just you got to realize it's going to be not one take, not 2 takes. So I think we were prepared for probably 25 takes of him tearing the page.
Hi, I'm John Wildermuth. I was the first assistant director on El Camino. This is actually a little 2-wall set on a soundstage, and the element of the junkyard is a green screen outside the window. And we even did a CG window as we pulled back, so it looked like it was starting outside and coming in. Here we are at Skinny Pete's house. This neighborhood was an amazing place to shoot, but also very challenging because we were shooting scenes in the front and the backyard and looking in all directions. So with our limited light hours in Albuquerque in November, we would come in the dark, super early in the morning, unload all our gear, just stash it away in the backyards, and so that we could shoot in any direction throughout the day. This scene in the backyard with old Joe searching the car for a low jack, we were scheduled to shoot this, do some coverage on Vince's shot plan, but because of our limited time with the light, he ended up abandoning that plan and just composing a one-shot take to cover the whole scene. That's why the light is so beautiful there, you see, in the scene, because it's very late in the day. It was such an honor to work on this film. I love Breaking Bad, the series, and to get a chance to work with Vince and these actors and this amazing crew, many of whom were on the series and on Better Call Saul. It was just definitely one of the highlights of my career. Out here in the front yard again, you see that window in the background behind Jesse's head. That's actually the garage of the house. And we put a plug in there to make it look like it was another room. It was quite challenging scheduling this movie because there's so many parts to it, and I really wanted to give Vince the opportunity to shoot things in continuity as much as possible. It also works great for the actors, but it does become a challenge when you've got multiple cast members and locations and storylines to tell. But it was quite a great experience, and again, highlight of my career.
Keys!
Yo, I'm Charles Baker. I play Skinny Pete.
Matt Jones, and I played Badger. Look at that. A lot goes into these scenes of snap with your left hand, hand the keys with your right hand, I hand the keys with that right hand, you hand it with your right hand.
Yeah, it was choreography between the keys and the money and all of it, and then all of that in between, trying to remember this like paragraph or two of dialogue where you guys are just onomatopoeing in between, like yeah. Like, oh man.
And also all of us getting over the weirdness of being back into these characters in Albuquerque.
Right. I don't know if I told you this. I looked up when we were driving to set. I looked up, like it seemed familiar. And I lived in New Mexico when I was eight years old, and in Albuquerque. And so we're driving to set. It seemed real familiar. So I just Googled my old elementary school. We were like literally 3 blocks away from where I used to live when I was 8 years old.
That's insane.
And it was pretty wild. We're like, this is why this place looks familiar. But I had never actually been to this part of Albuquerque where we're shooting, despite being 3 blocks away. I was 8, so I didn't get around much.
Look at that. Big old stack of fake money with real money on the outside. Good old prop trick. Oh God. Okay, this shot.
I love this shot.
Like 22 takes.
22 takes, yes, dude. It was worth it. I love the ingenuity behind that pull in and pull back, and there was a lot of technical stuff in there.
Camera, but there's this giant crane arm thing hanging off the left side of the car. And if that car wasn't so old and shitty and heavy, the car would have flipped over. And they're like, hey, just hop in here and pull out and start the car and do all that stuff while this $100,000 camera's hanging off the left side. And then stop in the perfect place where the light hits Aaron's face and makes him look so pretty.
Yeah, that was very important. The pulling, and like when we had to lean in and make sure, like over lean in so that we can see your face. Like,
yeah, and I had to turn my face, but not too much so you can still see my face.
You can't just lean in naturally. You got to lean in, like really lean in.
And then my character drives straight to Carl's Jr. before going to Mexico. So.
I told you straight, damn it, dude.
Hold up.
I love this scene. First time ever seeing Skinny Pete without his hat on.
This might be my favorite Skinny Pete moment of the series.
I think it's everybody's favorite Skinny Pete moment of the series. It's the first time you ever see Skinny Pete without a hat, which I thought was significant. And of course, I couldn't have like a cool haircut or anything. I had to have that. I almost cried when I read this. Okay, I cried when I read this. And then I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to get through it without like tearing up. But turns out I did.
I didn't get to watch this until I saw it at the premiere, because I was down the street in the car while you guys were shooting it.
Right. Driving away.
Yeah.
This scene right here, this was the only one take shot, I think, in the movie. We did that whole thing, me dragging the tarp, getting into the El Camino, and doing that little bit. That was all one take. And then we did several takes of me driving that thing. Oh God, that fence, man. They had me test that fence out first. And they said, okay, we just need you to pick it up and see if you can, how you can move it. Like, I couldn't even budge it. It was like a ton. They're like, okay, we'll make it way less. And they brought it down a little bit, still couldn't lift it. And it ended up being like mostly just balsa wood at the end. It's just like, it was light as a feather. It was like a kite. Like, oh man, now I have to pretend it's heavy. It's pretty fun.
All those cops on the way to get Badger and Skinny Pete.
Oh man, I saw that and I was like, oh, I'm ready for that scene. We shot a scene where they all actually come in and bust in, and I'm smoking a joint, and like they'd throw a flashbang down, and have me get on the ground, handcuff me, and obviously for time and for story purposes, they decided to cut that out of the original.